One of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. Plato.
Welcome to Practical Trouble, where we give you the tools to make the world a better place, one concrete action at a time. I'm Lindsay, and I once got elected to a Democratic county committee without even running for the position.
And I'm Frank, and I don't understand why coroner is an elected position.
So Frank, what are we talking about this week?
This week's episode is all about running for office. After all, it's the elected officials who actually have the power to get stuff done, even if our current batch at the state and national level don't appear to be doing much.
Specifically, we're talking about running for local office. If you've got the skills, experience, and resources to run for state or national office, amazing. But we actually believe that the most important positions can be the ones that are closest to home.
And within the realm of local offices, we're actually going to cover two different types: government offices and political party offices. So let's cover the political party offices first. In the United States, we have two major political parties, and they pretty much call the shots. They have a huge amount of influence on who runs for office and who wins.
The structure and operation of a party can vary significantly, even within a state. Typically, they have a hierarchy of internal representatives based on geography. Precinct committee people have the smallest area with approximately 500 to 2,000 voters. Sometimes they might have several block captains helping them out. Precinct chairs are typically responsible for turning out voters in their precinct and helping find voters to work on election day. And then there are county parties and state parties. Each have their own elected officers. However, under the county party, there may be zone, ward, town, or other committees. Some of those may be temporary just for an election, or they may be permanent. Sometimes the county parties feed directly into the state party, or they may be organized into congressional districts. Finally, above the state parties is the national committee. All of these various levels have elected officials, and those are usually responsible for electing the officials in the next level up.
Now, both parties have their issues, and it can seem like a private club where the members are more interested in increasing their own power and prestige than seeking out and supporting the best candidates. Nevertheless, in our two-party system, each party wields an enormous amount of power. Bernie Sanders demonstrated this in 2016 when, despite having a tremendous amount of grassroots support, he never really had the full backing of the Democratic Party machinery.
Nobody walks in the door of a major political party and gets elected the national chair the next day. You'll need to get involved, understand how things work, who's who, and then chart your own path forward. At the very least, however, learn what's going on and whose views most closely align with yours, and then do what you can to support the people who you think will best represent your interests within the party.
So then how do you get involved? The simplest answer is to find the local arm of your party and ask them if they meet regularly and how you can get involved. If you can't find your local arm easily, try starting at the state level party's website and work your way down from there. And if you find yourself stumped, send us an email or post a comment on this video, and we'll see if we can get you connected to the right people.
Now, the attitudes, activity level, and quite frankly, competence of all of these various committees can vary considerably. You may be met with welcome arms, or you may unfortunately be brushed aside. That's where the complexity of the system can work in your favor. There are so many different people that you can approach. As long as you're approaching with the intent to help and not just to tell everyone that they're wrong, you'll find someone eventually. Don't get discouraged if your first foray doesn't work.
Okay, so that's the party operations. Let's go back to government. Government offices are all those elected positions that you probably already know from the plethora of yard signs that pollute local highway medians every election. Positions like school board, treasurer, judge of elections, constable, tax collector, mayor, city or borough council, township supervisor, and judges. Even coroner. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why coroner is an elected job. Like, that many people are fighting over it?
And why is it partisan?
Yeah, is there like a liberal coroner versus I don't know. Anyway, while presidents and senators and congresspeople grab all the national headlines, it's your local elected officials that make most of the rules that affect you on a daily basis. There are dozens of elected roles in every area and more than 500,000 elected positions across the United States. Here's the thing though, more than half of those jobs, so more than 250,000 positions, involve a single candidate running unopposed. In some cases, nobody appears on the ballot at all, and writing candidates end up winning. So Lindsay had that happen to her once.
This was for a party position, not a government job. But yeah, When I first moved out to Indiana, I got involved with the local Democratic committee. They mentioned at one point they were going to be having elections for the county secretary. Now, I asked what the role entailed. They told me that they would send me some information about it. They never did, and I quite frankly forgot about it. About 2 months later, I was hiking in Utah when I got a text from the outgoing party chair asking me where the hell I was. And then 2 minutes later, I got an email from the now current party chair, I guess, or then current party chair, telling me that I was the new secretary.
Surprise.
Surprise. There had been an election and nobody told me because I wasn't eligible to vote in the election. And people just assumed that I wanted to run and nobody else was running. So they decided to vote for me.
You were voluntold.
Exactly. It worked out.
So what does turnout look like for local elections?
The turnout for local elections is notoriously low. Even when there's a major race, like for president or state governor, many voters simply don't complete their ballot. They don't make selections for any races except for the big ones. So the number of votes cast for some of these races can be really small.
Which means that the margin of victory can be really small, and even first-time local candidates have a decent shot. Did we mention that more than half of the positions are uncontested? And even if you believe that incumbents are these all-powerful demigods, they retire, they shuffle off this mortal coil, and sometimes they even get indicted. So vacancies are popping up all the time.
Let's talk about some of the reasons why people don't run. What if you have no interest? You don't think there's any jobs out there that you care enough about to run for?
Oh, come on, you're listening to this podcast, so clearly you care about something. In fact, that's a great way to figure out the best role to run for. What do you care about? What is your why with regards to public service or your community? Do you care about green space? Then run for township supervisor and then get on the land use committee. Do you care about election integrity? Run for inspector of elections or judge of elections, which are typically brief commitments. Do you care about gentrification? Find out how you get on the zoning board.
Okay, fine, but I'm not qualified at all. I don't have the skills for any of these positions.
Okay, well, we probably don't want people winging it in the coroner's office, but we just had a failed casino owner as president, so we may be overestimating the importance of skills. Don't overestimate the expertise of the incumbents. Frequently paid staff do the really knowledge-intensive jobs. But look, if you really care about a position, you can learn, and often doing is the best way to learn.
But doesn't running for office take a lot of time?
Running for office is frequently more time-consuming than actually executing the responsibilities of the office, especially since folks usually begin planning for the next election on day one. But many roles are part-time or even just a handful of evening meetings in a month. Even state legislators are part-time jobs in many states. Figure out how much time you can give for the greater good, and then pick an office that fits your time budget.
All right, so you brought up budgets. What about money? I can't pay for a campaign. I need money to live on while I'm fulfilling the duties of this office.
That's true. Money is really important to like basic survival, but local races tend to be relatively inexpensive to run, and your local party will help you figure that out, and they may even actually be able to kick some cash in. And as far as living expenses, most elected jobs aren't full-time, so yay, you'll be able to keep your day job.
Well, okay, maybe all that's true, but I just don't think I could win.
Have you seen the people currently in office? How often have you looked at an elected official and said, that was the best person we could come up with? If you care enough to listen to this podcast, you're already indicating that you're the right kind of person. And look, yes, some of you are blue dots in red districts, and the voting demographics would make any victory tough. But even a candidate who doesn't win office has the opportunity to shape the discussion and get some new ideas into circulation. No attempt to run for office is wasted if you're sincere about getting your views out there.
Okay, so there are some scary people in my area, and I'm afraid of the verbal abuse or even outright violence that might come my way if I run.
So that's a reasonable concern these days, especially if you're not a white male linebacker. If you don't think you can safely run, try looking for another candidate whose beliefs align with your own and help them run. And if that doesn't work, see if you can find and encourage someone else to run.
But where do I start? There's so many moving pieces.
The best place to start might be with your local party, especially in an area where they don't have candidates for every office. They go down this path every year, and you're most likely not the first newbie that they've coached. We mentioned earlier that the local branch of the party may not be what you need, so you might need different resources. A good example would be the book Run for Something by Amanda Littman, and there's an organization with the same name. There are lots of organizations dedicated to helping people, especially first-time candidates, run for office. We'll put the links to some of these in the comments, and you're welcome to add your own. Want more help looking for an organization that might help? Shoot us an email and we'll try to help you out. So Lindsay, those are our useful actions of running for something, but what's our useless action for this episode? So Lindsay, what's our useless action for this episode?
Whining that there aren't any good candidates. Do you think you could do a better job? Then do it. Do you know someone that could do a better job? Convince them to run and help them win.
That's right. Don't do useless things. So that brings us to the end of another episode of Practical Trouble. Thanks for listening, and let us know what you think in the comments. Help us spread the word. Like, subscribe, share, tweet, add us to your dating profile, whatever works for you.